Farm Show, joined by Wayne Black, who's a well-known Twitterverse member. And Wayne is also a member of the Advanced Agricultural Leadership Program, and he's just returned from an international study tour of India. That must have been something, Wayne.
Yes, it was. It was very interesting, to say the least.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about that. For the viewers, paint a picture of Indian agriculture.
Indian agriculture, at first glance, I would say is quite a contrast to what we do in Ontario agriculture, and it's also a land of opportunities. When we first landed in India, the High Commissioner said, "Welcome to the land of opportunity," similar to what you would have been introduced into the United States or Canada back when settlers first came. So it seems to be a how do I say this? It's hard to put into pictures and words until you actually walk in the fields and walk with the farmers to see what their trials and tribulations are, to see what their, and also at the same time see what their opportunities are. It's just quite a contrast. It's from what I saw.
Talk about that contrast from what we know in Ontario.
Well, I guess in Ontario, we have a contrast, slightly cool weather in the south to cold weather in northern Ontario. And in India, there are spots where we went where a guy has a 200 cow dairy, milking cows, lush green crops all around him. It's relatively dry there still, but we also went to another area which I would call an arid semi-desert area where they only rely on the monsoons for moisture levels to grow crops. So monsoons only come once a year, so then they got to rely on that moisture to carry them through for the rest of the year. So we're walking a field which to me is almost like the South Lambton clay or Niagara clay they're trying to grow crops on, and it's bone dry. And then a few days later we're looking at some beautiful dirt where they got green crops and things are looking good. So it's quite a contrast. So in a way, from a person from Ontario going there, it's what should we be looking at really? Like what really is Indian agriculture? So it was a challenge there to know what we could do for them or what we should do for them.
So one of the things that you talked about was knowledge transfer, and what you noticed about how Indian farmers are learning about agriculture.
Yeah, I guess we toured a few different sites. One was the Monsanto call center where they have a calling list of farmers that they call up, and I can't remember the numbers, but it's kind of low-cost, broad-based coverage, I would say, to contact as many farmers as possible, help them out with the crops they're currently growing, on how to better manage them, how to better take care of them, possibly even how to improve the marketing of them. So it's transferring some of the production techniques from what we know to the farmer and find out what their troubles are and just see how their crops did. So the traditional crops, it's more the traditional crops is what they're focusing on to help farmers improve their bottom line at the end of the day.
And one thing that struck you was the labor intensification, just the intensive labor that is throughout the society, you know, from everyday tasks right through agriculture.
Yeah, so I guess that's another thing too, is that it's a challenge to know how much of our productivity gains do we take to them. Like we can take take Syngenta Foundation for an example. They're taking knowledge on how to build shade structures to grow more diverse crops and to take low-cost drip irrigation to those semi-arid regions to be able to grow those crops. So they're improving the farmer's income like threefold per acre. So it's nice that way, but we can help them that way by growing different crops and improving their conditions, but at the same time we got to be careful in how much we improve their lifestyle, because if we go in there and improve it to the point where they can reduce their labor in half, what do we do with those people that were put out of work? Like for us it's inefficiencies or duplication of services, but for them it's a job. And sometimes you kind of want to take a step back and look at it and go, well, maybe that's really all they need, is they just need a job. And so you look at our society, you're looking in the United States, where some areas the unemployment went to 20–25% unemployed, and was that really good for society? Not really. So we have to be careful. I think we have to be careful on what in productivity gains, what technologies we take to that country for their farmers to actually help them improve their standard of living.
A final question for you is, let's talk a little bit about AALP and what a great opportunity this was, and what a great program it is for farmers like yourself.
I guess the thing with AALP, what I got out of it was that it's opened up my eyes to what a lot of other things are. I would have never walked in the field in India before AALP. I would have never been able to go see somebody on the 54th floor of the Toronto Dominion Center down in Bay Street. Like AALP exposes you to the highs of life, and it also exposes you to the lows of life. So it's more, I'd say it's really good for somebody who is looking for something different, to broaden their perspective. You got to go into it with an open mind. And yeah, would I recommend it to anybody else? For sure. Like they expose you to a lot of stuff in agriculture, but take the trip to India, they exposed you to a lot of stuff in society in general too, which it all involves agriculture. It's food that we eat.
And next class starts soon, right?
Yes, next class starts this September, and we'll be accepting applications for that class sometime this spring.
Really, thanks for your time.
Thank you.